Hello, everybody. I'm Robin, and these are my reflections. And today I am here to share with you Dreya Blume's new tarot journals. So these are available on Amazon. Shout out to Dreya for sending these over to me for purposes of review and so that I can share them with you. I'm excited to let you guys know kind of how these work and sort of my own personal opinions on how I would use them. And I'll give you a peek at the insides of them and put the links in the description box below. So let's take a look at them. Let's start with tarot, the first tarot journal, Logistics. The book is oversized. It is, if you're looking at this as like a regular A5 journal, this is, you can see that they are significantly larger. So it is oversized. So it's lots of space to write on the inside. The inside is black and white. You do get a black and white picture of the card. I wouldn't even call this a thumbnail. This is probably bigger than most 10 deck sizes. So it's a good size picture of the card. And then you get lots of space to write everything you need to write. I did use the journal. I used the shadow work one and I wrote directly in the book and there was plenty of space to write. I didn't feel like I needed to get another page. So that was nice. I think that's a good thing about it being oversized. You can write on this with whatever you want, highlighter, pen, pencil. I wouldn't use a fountain pen. I think that would bleed through, but I used a regular ballpoint and it worked fine. It says, welcome. I'm a huge fan of both journaling and tarot, and I imagine you are as well. And so I'm glad you're here as you embark on an introspective voyage of self-discovery through the cards. In the past, I've written books with journal prompts, which were meant to be used alongside a separate journal. And this time I wanted the book itself to be the container for your reflections. The right questions can lead to epiphanies. And my hope is that the work you do with this book helps you to connect with important information about yourself and the life you are living. And then it goes on to talk about the structure. It says on the page is an image of the tarot card. Under is a space for you to add a quote or saying that resonates with you based on the energy of that particular card. And then it gives you some information on how to do that, like how to find that quote or some methods that you can use to try to find the quote or saying to match the card. And then it says there are some questions to unlock doors and give you the opportunity to think and feel. So as I was going through this book, as I was going through these journals, what I think is that journal number one is more of a personal guided journal. It's really good. I think this would be great for like daily pulls. If you pull a card and then find the card and answer the questions, because each of the questions are different questions based on the energy of the card. I think it would also work really great in tandem with a tarot study. So if you're studying a deck, you can, read about the card in the guidebook and then come here to, further think about that card. I think if you were doing like drop 'em 78, for instance, this might be a really nice way to think about each card or to use to think about each card. This is really more about journaling what's inside of you, right? So the questions are such like you find a quote, and what I would do if it was me, and what I actually did do, I didn't write in the book, but I did do one or two of these just to kind of see how it went. And I think that for me, I answered the questions and then I went back to find the quote because what I did was I picked a card randomly from a deck. I looked at the picture. Um, and I read from the guidebook that came with my deck. And then I came here and answered these questions. So for the High Priestess, you have what is your preferred way for connecting with your soul? What unresolved trauma is it time to finally heal? How would you describe your current relationship with time? And what is something you are not yet ready to do, be, or have? So answer those questions and then go back and find a quote. Sit on that for a little while and think about a quote that I think might go with this. And I might just Google like quotes on time or quotes on introspection and then look through them and find one that I think really matches with the High Priestess for me right now in this moment, right? So let's take a look at a minor. Here's the Five of Wands. I think this would be great for newbies as well as advanced tarot readers if you just want to sit and be introspective with your cards or have a guided journal for daily pulls. I think this would be great for that. This does not have any titles, so if you are not familiar with the cards, it might be hard for you to find what you're looking for. Like this is the Five of Wands. I know that because I know the Five of Wands, but if you don't know the Five of Wands, it might be a little bit difficult for you to find that. So you know, the ace is there and then you'd have to count back, right? So I think that's the only thing I would say about this book for beginners, is that it could be a little bit difficult to find the card you're looking for if you're not aware of the cards, since they're not labeled, you know. But because the RWS is not, it's labeled, it looks just like this. It doesn't say Two of Cups, but I know this is the Two of Cups. I think if the pages were labeled, or if there was a table of contents, that might be a little bit helpful, but you can find it if you just flip through. I didn't have any trouble finding them, but like I said, if I was a beginner, it might be a little bit more difficult, especially if I was very new to learning. And the questions are: what do you wish would never change, or why? How are you keeping yourself small, and what are you afraid of? How will embracing certain uncertainty bring you peace? And then, what are 5 things it is time to get rid of? I like that one. So yeah, so that is the tarot journal 1. Tarot journal number 2, let me show you kind of how it's laid out. So you still get your thumbnail, which is really more of a whole card picture. And then what you get in this one it's the same questions for each card. There's only one question, which is the last question, that's personal. So the questions are: as I look at this card, what immediately comes up for me is a sense of. So you write down what you feel when you see the card. And then it says the shadow side of this card appears when I. And then if this card could speak, it would want me to know that. And then this is the symbol I've chosen from this card. So it asks you to choose one symbol from each card. And then you write what the symbol is. And then this is what I learned about that symbol. So you go and research that symbol, and then you can write about that here. And then the personal question here is a list of my best personal qualities for the strength card. So I think that with this one, this is more of a deck deep dive, or actual, if you are new and you're just learning to study tarot, this would be great for that, because it'll give you the opportunity to take a deck, read the guidebook, do a little bit of studying on it, and then come here and answer these questions as expansion questions to how the card can then relate to you, because it's asking you how you feel about the card, how it shows up in your life, and if it would speak to you, what would it say, and which symbol jumps out for you. So it makes it very personal, right? And so that's what these, and it's the same for every card. Every card has the same questions except for the last question. So for the Ace of Wands, it's the same thing. I get a sense of this. This is how the shadow side appears. If it could speak to me, this is what it would say. This is the symbol I chose. This is what I learned about it. And then the question for the Ace of Wands is: here's a list of the ways in which I express myself, or I express my creativity. And then we'll get into, let's look at another suit. There's the King of Cups. The question is: here's a list of the advice I would give a younger person. And so, like, it's just that last question that allows you to sort of go outside of the original questions. I think this is great for studying the physical cards, for seeing how the imagery in a deck really calls to you. You could even take like a photograph of the card and stick it here if you're using a deck that's not the RWS, and just you'll be able to compare them. You could use this space to write keywords for the cards if you're doing an actual study of the cards. You could, if you're learning to study the cards, you can use this space to write keywords upright and reversed, and then answer these questions. But I think if you're using this book and you don't know tarot, you're going to need another book, like a guidebook. This one, you don't need a deck. You can just use these pictures. But if you don't want to do the RWS study, then, and this is also in black and white, you could color it in if you wanted to, but because this, you could definitely use crayons, or you could definitely use markers or colored pencils to color this in if you wanted to. But other than that, you would have just this black and white picture here. So if you wanted to see it in full color without having to color it in, you need a deck or to look on the internet. What I think I would do is use this to study another deck and maybe compare the two, like stick a picture of the other deck here and compare them like that. But you would definitely want to have the guidebook for a deck, or some sort of other tarot book that gives you the actual definition of the card and the divination meanings of the cards before you start answering these questions. Because, for instance, it asks about the shadow side of the card. And it's like, if you don't know what the shadow side of the card is, you can't really answer that question, right? So that is tarot journal number 2. The final one is Tarot Shadow Work Journal. I love the cover of this. I like how these flames peek around the corner here. This is the back. I wish that these flames came just a little bit further up. Like I wanted to see like maybe just one or two more, you know? But maybe that's the point. Maybe it's just a little bit on purpose, you know. But love the cover of this. It really drew me in. I don't know why, but this one does come with a disclaimer. It says be sure to have support in places necessary, and I think that that is so important. I underlined it. It Dreya also she just gives you a few ideas here of some support techniques that you could use to support yourself. So she has the somatic grounding techniques such as emotional freedom technique, havening, and the butterfly hug, which I had to Google these. And she does suggest that you can look them up on YouTube and figure out what these are and make sure that you have a good sense of how to use them before you start using this book, because it is so important to note that when you are doing shadow work, there could be things that come up that could be difficult to drag yourself out of on your own. So it is important to have support, a therapist, a counselor, or some sort of like these sort of grounding techniques that she's given ideas for here, or whatever else works for you. For me, I like to do some meditation before, and then after I pull nice cards, look at pretty pictures, things like that. Sometimes it takes me a week to get through one entry, and just I have to sit with it, you know, and I have to drag myself out of that place, because it's not meant to keep you sad, right? If you're finding things that are bringing you into places that are sad, the goal is to uncover it, shine light on it, and bring it integrated into your life so that you can keep moving. So that's not taking over your life, right? Sometimes that's very difficult to do on your own. So it's important to know that if you need support, that you have that in place before you start working with this book. Quotes in the beginning. I love a good quote. It does talk about what the shadow is, as far as Jungian psychology goes, and then give some information about, you know, what it means to do shadow work. This is how the cards go. So every card is different questions, and they bring up different things in your life. They're going to ask you different questions. I did ask Dreya because I did one of the cards. I'm not going to show you what I wrote, but I did do one of the cards here in the book because I wanted to do it right in the book to see how that was going to go for me. And as I was going through it, I got to the end. It took me a good week. I think I did one question and then another two questions another day. And then, you know, it just took me a little bit. It took me a bit. I wanted to do one of them because I was worried that these would open up a can of worms that we didn't then know what to do with. And we just have worms running around. But I didn't feel that way when I finished, and I'll explain. But let's go through the questions. So I'll let you look at the full. So the questions for the full are: currently, what feels uncertain in your life? How comfortable are you with uncertainty, and what emotions come up for you around this presence? How do you feel? How do you typically cope with uncertainty? How is your relationship with uncertainty connected to fear, self-doubt, family of origin issues? Like, that is 3 questions. So that could take like a week to answer, right? Or a couple of days. What price do you pay when you try to control that which is uncontrollable? What might happen if you began to accept that life is uncertain? And what would be helpful to remind yourself the next time you are faced with uncertainty? Now, I think I mentioned that I felt like I was worried that as I'm going through answering these questions, because I didn't see like an activity or a breathing exercise or anything like that at the end, that I would get to the end and be like, okay, now what? But I didn't feel that way because the way she set these questions up, I think that it's important to note that Dreya is a psychotherapist and a coach and an educator and a group leader, and she is a professional. And the way that she situated these questions is, you know, from her professional experience, obviously, because it led me through a whole process. I went through each question from question to question, and it just opened up something in me, and it literally shined a light on what I was looking for, right? And when I got to the end, I could answer my own questions, and I could tell what I needed to do next. I could tell myself. I didn't need an activity here at the end to tell me what to do, you know. I could tell myself what I could really do in my life, not just some activity. And I thought that that was brilliant. So as far as how to choose the cards, I did reach out to Dreya and ask, like, what did she think about how to choose them? I just, for me, I pulled a card. I was doing a spread for the month, and I asked, like, what do I need to work on this month? And a card came up upside down, and the other cards around indicated it was a blocked energy. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get into the shadow work journal about this blocked energy, what I need to uncover here. And it worked. It was perfect. It was a perfect way to utilize the book. So I think I'm going to continue to use it in that way. But I was thinking, should I just keep moving from one to the next to the next? And I asked her, and she said that she thinks any way people want to use it is the best way to use it. She doesn't want to tell people how they should use the book, but you know, it's just, you know, do it however you feel. So I think that that is great. I think you could use it either way because, like I said, when I got to the end, I was ready to go on to the next one, the very next card. I think you could do it from beginning to end, no problem. But then also, I enjoyed it the way that I did it as well. So I'm showing you the Ten of Cups here. You can see there are a lot of questions for the Ten of Cups. I think, yeah, this is all the same one. But anyway, so that's kind of how I used it. I loved being able to write directly in the book. I like the idea of having it all here. So when I'm looking back on what did I learn about the Ten of Cups again, I can just come right to this book. I don't have to comb through a bunch of tarot journals to look for the entry for that. So I love that. And I found a place when I had the Tarot for Transformation book. It's also oversized. It's another book by this author. And I found a place to keep that book. So I'm keeping these oversized books with that one on my shelf. So it's perfect. I really am happy to have this, and I want to work through it, but it is going to take me some time because it's a lot. Shadow work is a lot. It's a lot for me. I don't know. Some people can just seem to run right through it. I can't do it. It takes me a minute. So, but I'll just give you a couple of looks at this so you can screenshot if you like. And that is the shadow work journal. Okay, so just to recap, a tarot journal, it's called. I would say is more for introspective work. And if you wanted to do daily pulls and then write right here in the journal, like pull a card and then answer the questions right here in the journal for like a daily practice for 78 days or whatever, I think that this would be a perfect journal for that. Now, journal 2, like I said, I think is more of a deck study, like of the physical deck and of what the deck looks like and the images in the deck, and then also kind of what the cards mean, a study of what the cards mean. This is more a study of what's going on in your life when you pull that card and the energy of it. And this is more a study of what the cards mean and how that works into your life, how that can overlap with things that are happening in your life. And this is a shadow work journal. So this is about uncovering things that are hidden, that have been hidden by your ego in order to keep you calm, in order to keep you sane, but then to integrate them because we need to be whole, right? We need to be whole. And in order to be whole, we have to know all of ourselves. And so this is a shadow work journal for that. All right, so that's all of them. Depending on what you're looking for, you may be interested in picking one or two or all of them up. They're sold separately, so I'll put the links in the description box below where you can pick them up. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, you can subscribe. I release videos every few days regarding tarot and oracle. If you know anybody who's interested in these books or has had, been curious about what's in them, please share the video. It does help if you share, like, comment, all the things, anything that you can do. I do appreciate it. And until I see you guys next time, stay safe and be blessed. Bye-bye.